Hello, and welcome back to Speak English Daily.
Hi, everyone. We are very happy to see you here today.
So, I was thinking about something today.
That sounds serious already.
No, not serious, just real. Imagine this. You have two choices.
Okay.
One job is stable, good salary, no stress. You know what will happen every day.
Sounds nice.
The other one, not stable. Maybe better in the future, maybe not. More risk, more pressure.
Yeah, that one sounds scary.
So, what would you choose?
Honestly, the safe one.
Really?
Yeah. Why would I choose stress and uncertainty?
See, that's what most people say.
Because it makes sense.
Does it, though?
What do you mean?
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like we choose safe not because it's better, but because we're afraid.
Of course we're afraid. That's normal.
But what if that fear is actually controlling our life?
Or maybe it's protecting us.
Protecting us from what?
From failure, from regret, from making a big mistake.
But staying safe can also be a mistake.
That sounds dramatic.
Think about it. If nothing changes, your life stays the same.
And what's wrong with that?
Nothing if you're happy.
Exactly.
But most people aren't.
Hmm.
They stay in jobs they don't like, they don't speak because they're afraid of making mistakes, they don't try new things.
Okay, but that's still better than failing, right?
Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not sure anymore.
So you're saying playing safe is not always safe?
I'm saying sometimes playing safe is just a quiet way of losing.
That's uncomfortable.
Yeah, it is.
So what's the real question then?
Maybe this. Is playing safe actually the biggest risk? But wait, before we go too far, what does safe even mean?
It means no danger.
Physical danger, yes, but we're not talking about that.
True.
We're talking about life decisions, jobs, speaking, trying something new.
Okay, so safe means no big problems.
Or no big changes.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Sometimes safe just means familiar.
Familiar?
Something you already know, something that feels comfortable.
That's still good.
Not always.
Why not?
Because your brain likes comfort, even if it's not good for you.
Explain that.
Think about someone who wants to improve their English.
Okay.
They know they should practice speaking,
Right.
but they don't.
Because they're shy.
Or afraid.
Yeah.
So they stay safe. They don't speak.
That makes sense.
Does it? They feel safe, but they don't improve.
Oh.
So that safety is not really helping them.
It's just stopping them.
Exactly.
So safety can be fake?
Sometimes, yes.
That's interesting.
There are two types of safety.
Go on.
Real safety, like wearing a seatbelt,
Okay, that's obvious.
and emotional safety, like avoiding embarrassment.
Ah, I see.
And emotional safety can trick you.
How?
It makes you feel okay in the moment, but it can hurt your future.
So you feel good now, but pay later.
Exactly.
That's a bit scary.
Yeah, because you don't even notice it.
So when I avoid something because I feel uncomfortable,
You might be choosing comfort over growth.
Hmm.
And the worst part?
What?
It feels like the right choice.
That's the dangerous part.
Exactly.
So maybe the problem is not risk.
But how we understand safety.
Yeah, maybe we trust safe too much.
So, why do we avoid risks so much?
Because it feels dangerous.
But not always physically dangerous.
Yeah, more like emotionally dangerous.
Exactly. And I think there are a few main reasons.
Like what?
First, fear of failure.
That's a big one.
People don't try because they're afraid they will fail.
Or look stupid.
Yes, especially with something like speaking English.
Oh, yeah, I see that all the time.
People know words, they understand grammar, but when it's time to speak,
They stop.
because they think, what if I make a mistake?
What if people laugh?
Exactly.
So they stay silent.
And that silence feels safe.
But it's also keeping them stuck.
Right.
What's the second reason?
This one is deeper. Fear of losing identity.
What do you mean?
People get used to who they are.
Like, I am a shy person.
Yes, or I am not good at English.
Or I can't do business.
These become part of their identity.
So if they try something new,
They have to change that identity.
and that's uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable.
So it's easier to stay the same.
Even if the same is not good.
That's kind of sad.
It is.
Because people are not just avoiding risk.
They are protecting an old version of themselves.
Wow, that's deep.
And most people don't even realize it.
So they think they're being careful.
But they are actually being controlled by fear.
That changes how I see it.
Yeah, me too. Now, let me ask our listeners something. What is one thing you want to try, but you are avoiding because it feels risky? Write your answer in the comments. I really want to see what you think.
That's a good question.
Now, here's the part that I think people don't like to hear.
Which part?
Staying safe has a cost.
Of course it does.
No, I mean a hidden cost. At first, it feels good.
Because there's no stress.
No fear, no risk.
Everything is under control.
But slowly, something else happens.
Like what?
You stop growing.
That's true.
Your life becomes predictable.
Some people like that,
For a while, yes.
but not forever.
Exactly.
So what's the real problem?
Regret.
Regret?
Yeah, not failure, regret.
Explain that.
Failure hurts in the moment,
Right?
but regret stays for a long time. It's that feeling of, what if?
What if I tried?
What if I started?
What if I didn't stop myself?
And those questions don't go away easily.
That's heavy.
It is.
So you're saying it's better to fail than regret?
Not always, but often, yes.
That's a strong statement.
Think about it.
I am.
If you try and fail, at least you know.
You get an answer.
But if you never try,
You keep wondering.
forever sometimes,
That's worse.
for many people it is.
So comfort can become a trap.
Yes,
It feels safe,
but it slowly limits your life.
like a small room,
Exactly. A comfortable room, but small.
and you don't even realize how small it is.
Until it's too late.
That's a bit scary.
It should be.
So maybe the real danger is not risk.
But never taking any risk at all. Okay, but we need to slow down for a moment.
Why?
Because this conversation can easily become one-sided.
You mean just take risks, do everything?
Exactly, and that's not real life.
Yeah, not all risks are good.
Some risks are actually dangerous.
So we need to separate things.
Yes, there's a big difference between a smart risk and a reckless one.
Let's define that.
A smart risk has thinking behind it,
Planning
awareness.
and a reckless risk.
It's emotional, fast, no plan at all.
Just jumping without thinking.
Exactly.
Give me a real example.
Okay, imagine someone hates their job.
That's very common.
One person gets angry and quits immediately.
No savings?
No savings, no backup plan, nothing.
That sounds stressful.
That's not brave, that's reckless.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, another person feels the same.
They also want to leave?
Yes, but they prepare first.
Like saving money.
Yes, learning skills, searching for new opportunities.
So they still take a risk.
But it's controlled.
That's a big difference.
Same desire, but different mindset.
And probably different results, too.
Exactly.
What about something smaller, like daily life?
Okay, speaking English.
Good example.
One person avoids speaking completely.
Because they want to feel safe.
Yes, no mistakes, no embarrassment.
but no progress.
Right. And the other extreme?
Someone jumps into very difficult conversations immediately. Without practice,
Without preparation.
that can go badly.
They feel lost, they panic, then they stop trying.
So both sides fail.
Yes, avoiding risk and taking too much risk.
So what's the middle path?
Small, smart risks.
Step by step?
Exactly. One sentence today, a short conversation tomorrow.
That feels manageable.
And still uncomfortable, but in a good way.
So growth doesn't need chaos.
No, it needs direction.
I like that.
Here's a simple way to think about it.
Go on.
If your risk has no thinking,
It's probably dangerous.
and if your life has no risk,
Then you're probably not growing at all.
exactly.
So the goal is not to avoid risk, but to understand it.
So maybe the real question is not, should I take risks or not?
Then what is the real question?
How does growth actually work?
That sounds deeper.
It is, because most people misunderstand growth.
How?
They think growth feels good,
Yeah, like motivation, excitement.
but real growth usually feels uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable how?
Like doubt, fear, confusion.
That doesn't sound very attractive.
Exactly. That's why people avoid it.
So discomfort is part of growth.
Not just part of it, it's necessary.
Why?
Because your brain wants to keep you safe.
That makes sense.
Your brain loves habits. It loves what is familiar.
Even if it's not good for you?
Yes, because familiar feels safe.
So when you try something new,
Your brain sees it as danger.
even if it's not dangerous,
Exactly.
that explains a lot.
Like why people feel nervous speaking English,
Or starting something new.
or even sharing their ideas.
So that fear is natural?
Completely natural.
Then maybe fear is not the problem.
Right. The problem is how we react to it.
Most people stop.
Yes, they think, I feel scared, so I shouldn't do this.
But that's the wrong message.
Exactly.
So what should the message be?
I feel scared, so maybe this is important.
That's a big shift.
It is. And here's another important idea.
Go on.
Confidence does not come before action.
Really?
Yes, people think, I will do it when I feel confident.
That sounds logical.
But it doesn't work like that.
Then how does it work?
Action comes first, confidence comes later.
So you act, even if you feel unsure?
Exactly.
And then confidence grows?
Slowly, yes.
That explains why beginners struggle.
Yes, they are waiting for confidence.
Instead of building it.
Right.
So if someone wants to improve
They have to accept discomfort.
and take small actions anyway,
Yes,
even if it feels awkward,
especially if it feels awkward.
that's interesting.
Because that awkward feeling,
Means you are doing something new.
and that's where growth happens.
So discomfort is not a bad sign.
It's a signal.
A signal that you are moving forward.
Exactly.
So maybe instead of avoiding that feeling
We should learn to understand it.
and even accept it,
Okay, I'm gonna be honest now.
that sounds dangerous.
I still think safety is more important.
Even after everything we discussed?
Yes, because real life is not a theory.
What do you mean?
People have responsibilities, family, money, stability.
And you think risk ignores that?
Sometimes, yes.
I don't agree.
Of course you don't.
No, seriously, I think you're confusing risk with carelessness.
And I think you're romanticizing risk.
That's not fair.
It is. You make it sound like risk always leads to growth.
Not always, but often.
Often is not enough.
So what's your solution? Stay safe forever?
No, stay smart.
That sounds nice, but also vague.
It's not vague. It means don't destroy your life for an idea.
Who said anything about destroying your life?
People do it all the time.
Give me an example.
Quitting everything for a dream with no plan.
That's not risk. That's poor judgment.
But people call it taking a risk.
Then they're using the word wrong.
Maybe, but the result is still the same.
Okay, but let me ask you something.
Go ahead.
How many people stay safe and regret it later?
That happens too.
Not just two, a lot.
Maybe.
No, really, think about it.
I am.
People stay in the same place for years.
Because it's stable.
Or because they're afraid.
Or both.
Exactly. So is that really a good life?
It depends on the person.
That's a safe answer.
I'm serious.
So you're saying no risk is okay?
I'm saying not everyone needs big risks.
But everyone needs some risk.
Maybe small ones.
But small risks don't always change your life.
Big risks can also ruin your life.
So we just stay in the middle forever?
What's wrong with the middle?
Sometimes the middle is just comfortable.
And comfort is not always bad.
But it can become a cage.
And risk can become a fall.
So what do we do then?
We think, we plan, we move carefully.
That sounds slow.
Life is not a race.
But it also doesn't wait.
True.
Let me ask you something uncomfortable.
Okay.
If you always choose safety, how do you know what you're capable of? You don't.
That's not easy to answer.
I know.
But let me ask you something.
Go ahead.
If you keep taking risks, how do you protect what you already have?
That's true.
You can lose everything too.
That's true.
So both sides have a cost.
Yeah, they do.
Safety can limit you.
And risk can break you.
So what's the right answer?
I don't think there is one.
Yeah, me neither.
Maybe it's different for everyone.
Or maybe it changes at different times in life.
That makes sense.
Sometimes you need safety.
Sometimes you need risk.
And knowing the difference.
That's the real challenge.
So after all this, I don't think this is really about safety or risk.
Yeah, it feels bigger than that.
It's more personal.
How so?
Because every choice we talked about depends on the person,
Their situation, their mindset.
their fears, and what they want from life.
That's true.
Some people want stability.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Not at all.
Others want growth, change, something more.
And that usually requires risk.
So it's not about choosing one side forever.
It's about understanding yourself.
And being honest.
Exactly.
I think a lot of people don't ask themselves the real questions.
Like what?
Are I actually happy or just comfortable?
That's a hard one.
Or am I avoiding this because it's dangerous or because I'm afraid?
That's even harder.
Yeah,
But those questions matter.
because they change how you see your choices.
And your life.
I think people are waiting for a perfect answer.
Like a rule.
Always take risks or always stay safe.
But life doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't.
Sometimes the safe choice is the right one.
And sometimes it's not.
Sometimes the risky choice changes everything.
And sometimes it teaches you a hard lesson.
So maybe the goal is not to avoid mistakes
But to make better decisions.
and learn from them.
Yeah.
I think the real question is simple, but not easy.
What is it?
What kind of life do you actually want?
Not what feels easy,
Not what other people expect.
but what matters to you.
And once you know that,
Your choices become clearer,
not easier.
but clearer.
And maybe that's enough.
Yeah, maybe it is.
If this conversation made you think even a little,
Then don't just listen and forget.
take one small action today
Something that feels just a little uncomfortable.
and see what happens.
Also, share your thoughts with us.
We really want to hear your perspective.
And if you enjoyed this episode,
Don't forget to follow and join us for the next conversation.